picture someone drowning in a violent, freezing ocean. Now imagine swimming out to them, ignoring their desperate flailing, and handing them a highly detailed architectural blueprint for a life raft. You might expect them to thank you for the clever idea. In reality, they are going to push the paper away, scream in frustration, and likely try to drag you under the waves with them. This scenario highlights a very specific psychological blind spot. Why does offering a perfectly logical solution to someone in the middle of an acute emotional or physical crisis almost always trigger immense hostility? The mechanics behind this communication failure are predictable. To dissect exactly why this happens, we have to decode a warning left for us in a text written over 2 millennia ago. Looking at the structured Sanskrit script and red marginal markings on these historical pages, we see the Panchatantra. This ancient Indian collection of fables was engineered specifically to teach behavioral strategy and emotional intelligence. One particular tale from this collection, How a Sparrow Came to Grief, isolates this exact behavioral flaw. The story places us deep within a stylized, allegorical jungle, right in the middle of a brutal winter storm. High up in the branches, a female sparrow is perfectly dry. She spent the warmer months meticulously crafting an insulated, comfortable nest, and now she is reaping the rewards of her hard work. Below her, a monkey arrives seeking shelter. He has no nest. He is completely exposed to the freezing rain, drenched to the bone, teeth chattering, and consumed by the immediate biological panic of surviving the cold. This creates a dangerous environmental mismatch. The sparrow possesses the luxury of physical comfort and long-term perspective, while the monkey is trapped entirely in acute physical suffering. Looking down with pity, the sparrow decides to intervene. She points out that the monkey has human-like hands and feet and suggests he simply use them to build himself a proper home. This split-screen flowchart illustrates why her intervention fails. On the left, we see an active neural pathway for future planning and logic. This is where the sparrow operates. But on the right side, we see the monkey's immediate survival and panic pathway, which is currently redlining. The sparrow's advice is objectively accurate, but practically useless to an organism dealing with hypothermia. The monkey reacts exactly like our drowning swimmer. He establishes a clear verbal boundary, snapping back, "You wicked sparrow, why can't you keep your mouth shut?" Looking closely at the updated chart, you see the survival pathway physically blocking and destroying incoming logic inputs. When a creature is already suffering, feeling inadequate compounds that pain. The monkey's hostility is a necessary psychological defense mechanism. His brain classifies the unhelpful advice as a secondary threat. Here is where the sparrow makes her critical error. Instead of recognizing the monkey's distress and respecting the clear boundary he just set, she doubles down and continues to lecture him. The moment unsolicited advice ignores a recipient's clear boundaries, it ceases to be an act of help. It becomes an act of aggression. The sparrow's tone shifts. She moves away from offering solutions and begins boasting, explaining at length how her own superior work ethic keeps her safe from the heat, the cold, and the driving rain. She is exhibiting the hubris of pity. By lecturing a helpless victim, the sparrow is unconsciously elevating her own social status and comforting herself with her own competence. Down below, the monkey's internal monologue shifts entirely. The freezing temperature is no longer what's driving him mad. He is now consumed by the condescension of a tiny bird acting like a master philosopher. And yet, the sparrow continues her incessant chirping. Enveloped in the safety of her logic, she is utterly blind to the escalating physical danger she is provoking from a larger, increasingly volatile predator. The entire interaction has derailed. What started as a naive suggestion for building shelter has mutated into a toxic battle of ego, dominance, and bitter resentment. The tension snaps. The monkey's rage overrides everything else. He scales the massive tree in a frenzy and violently shreds the nest to pieces. The contrast from the beginning of the story is absolute. The nest is gone. Both the monkey and the sparrow are completely exposed, freezing, and miserable in the pouring rain. This text preserves the literal moral law of the encounter. Give your advice only to those who deserve it, else you will come to grief. The sparrow's resulting grief was entirely self-inflicted. She lost her home because she prioritized her own need to be right over basic situational awareness. To apply this today, we have to deconstruct that word, deserve. The Panchatantra isn't talking about moral worthiness. Deserving advice simply means having the emotional and physical readiness to actually receive new information. Lecturing a suffering person rarely helps them. Most of the time, it is a subconscious mechanism used to soothe the giver's own anxiety about a situation they cannot control. This leaves us with a direct challenge. When facing someone trapped in their own metaphorical storm, take a hard look at what you are handing them. Evaluate whether you are offering an actual umbrella or just delivering a lecture on architecture. When true material help is impossible to provide, the highest form of empathy and emotional intelligence is knowing when to stay perfectly silent.